Consumer Electronics Show 2026 just took place, the world's top tech event, showcasing the latest gadgets and impressive technology concepts, as well as, of course, updates on robots and technology trends for the coming years. As always, we've compiled the top Consumer Electronics Show 2026 highlights in this episode. Stay with me and I'll show you everything, all. Hello, impressed viewers. I'm Carlos Alves, and you're watching Incredible Reality. Let's get to the video. From January 6th to 9th, one of the year's most anticipated tech events, Consumer Electronics Show 2026 took place. For over 50 years, this Las Vegas Technology Expo has been the world's largest tech fair and a global stage for innovation. It gives us a preview of what technology will look like in 2026. So let's check out these highlights in the next 7 technologies I'm going to show here, which were presented at Consumer Electronics Show 2026. They really seem like things straight out of a Black Mirror episode, but in real life. The tech fair did not disappoint when it came to AI products, but a more subtle trend stood out among the booths, which had little in common. Many standout technologies weren't made for screens or productivity panels. They were designed to be eerily close to us human beings, in personal spaces such as bedrooms, work desks, and even in our own minds. At the fair, devices appeared that analyzed facial blood flow, monitored brain activity, recorded daily conversations, analyzed biological waste, and simulated emotional companionship. All this was framed as well-being, productivity, or convenience. Many were presented as consumer-ready systems, with prices, subscriptions, and even short-term availability. A smart mirror can estimate your physiological age and predict long-term health risks by scanning your face for a few seconds. It's not a traditional clinical exam, as you can tell, but an algorithm that turns this everyday act of looking in the mirror into a silent judgment about your biological future. This is the daily reminder that our bodies can become data at another booth. Headphones with brain sensors measure mental fatigue, focus, and cognitive performance in real time. The promise is to improve performance, but when attention becomes the main focus, it also becomes something to be corrected, optimized, or demanded. Clade launched smart haircutting machines that deliver error-free haircuts by automatically adjusting the blades as you move them over your head. The interesting detail is that before you start, you need to tie a thick band around your head so the artificial intelligence can track exactly where it's cutting. After that, you just turn it on and trust that the algorithm knows more about the shape of your skull than you or your barber do. But the haircut wasn't the strangest part of the expo. The famous desktop anime girls are officially back. Razer introduced holographic anime avatars with cameras, microphones, and generative artificial intelligence running locally. It could be a waifu with cat ears or a tattooed husband named Jane, for example. They're not just smart assistants, they're constant presences. Yeah, I know, it's easy to laugh at all of this, until you realize that millions of people already spend more time interacting with intelligence than with actual human beings. These AIs use the camera, microphones, and a direct computer connection to monitor your screen activity and provide real-time tips. Grok from Zai is the brains behind this, Elon Musk's AI, exactly. In the corporate environment, digital clones trained with emails, meetings, and real decisions are already able to represent employees in calls, trainings, and internal processes. Work seems to be detaching itself from the human body. What matters is no longer physical presence, but the amount of data left out there. But perhaps the most unsettling innovations of 2026 were those that affected perception and intimacy. L'Oreal launched a flexible silicone mask resembling a second skin, featuring red and infrared LEDs. When activated, it emits vein-like light patterns on the face, promising firmness, rejuvenation, and deep skin treatment. The visual effect, however, is disturbing. It doesn't look like a cosmetic. It looks like a medical device, something out of a clandestine laboratory. And maybe that's the point. Beauty, health, and technology are merging for good. And maybe this one is the most symbolic of all. Small devices designed to automatically record daily life, people, conversations, moments. Nothing needs to be remembered anymore. Everything can be retrieved. Forgetting something essentially human starts to seem like a system error with this device. Here and in previous years, the humanoid robots at Consumer Electronics Show seemed like polite visitors from a not-so-distant future. They impressed, posed for photos, performed rehearsed movements, and returned to their transport boxes heading back to the labs. At Consumer Electronics Show 2026, everything changed for the first time. The humanoids weren't there to display future potential. They were there to prove they can already work in factories, homes, hospitals, and real public environments. And of course, with customers, contracts, and delivery dates all already scheduled. What we saw this year wasn't a distant promise. It was the beginning of our coexistence with them. The strongest symbol of this turning point came from Boston Dynamics. At Consumer Electronics Show 2026, the company officially unveiled the production version of the Electric Atlas. And there were no choreographed jumps. To go viral, Atlas rose using a joint rotation no human could imitate, showing it aimed not to copy people but to surpass them physically. With 56 degrees of freedom over 2 meters of reach and a 50-kilogram lifting capacity, it was built for continuous industrial use. And more. The partnership with Google Deep Mining enabled Gemini Robotics AI and Atlas, letting it handle complex tasks in unstructured environments. The key detail was at the end. The first units will begin real operation in 2026 at Hyundai's Georgia factory. It's moved from research to the production line. While Atlas seems to represent the pinnacle of Western engineering, Unitree made it clear that the game is also about scale. The Chinese company introduced 3 humanoids, G1, H2, and R1, with a much more aggressive market strategy. The G1 drew attention with quick, martial-like movements, showing balance and control. Slim, compact, foldable, and made for mass production, it differs from the H2, which targets heavier industrial uses. Unitree's message was direct. Humanoid robots won't be rare, they'll be common among us. The transition to the robot-as-a-service model made this even more evident. Instead of selling a machine, the company is selling ongoing labor. In factories, humanoids seem to be arriving with quite a lot of strength. Inside the home, the message changes a bit, but the intention is still the same. LG, yes, LG, introduced Cloyd as the physical heart of its vision for the home. No work. And for the first time, it didn't sound like empty marketing. Cloyd folded clothes, loaded the dishwasher, and prepared common household foods. In a typical home environment, the same one we use daily, it moves on wheels, not by walking. LG focused on stability and efficiency over appearance. Powered by vision, language, and action models and integrated with Extrema Think, Cloyd is more than a robot. He's a digital butler with arms connected to the whole house. And this same logic of robots as a functional presence appeared at the AdBot booth. The company officially entered the North American market by presenting the A2 series Humanoid, already produced in thousands of units. Standing almost 1.7 meters tall with 360-degree sensors and a focus on hospitality, the A2 was shown acting as a guide in museums and showrooms. For now, there is still human supervision in crowded environments. But that's not the point. The point is that it is already being manufactured, yes, and shipped and used here in the West as well. And the launch of the GN Sim 30 made the next step clear. Training robots in simulated environments before releasing them into the real world, reducing risks and speeding up the adoption of these machines. Coming from Europe, Robotics presented arguably the most ambitious humanoid at the fair. The 4NE1 robot, now in its 3rd generation, was redesigned with the help of the Ferdinand Alexander Porsche studio. Blending robust engineering with sleek industrial design, the robot lifts up to 100 keygun features artificial skin sensitive to touch, and shares skills with others through the Neuroverse system, enabling real-time learning and knowledge transfer. With NVIDIA Isaac Grote, the 4NE1 responds to commands and understands context. Neura's proposal is very clear. A single humanoid that can move between factories, homes, and public spaces. In other words, a truly general-purpose robot. Meanwhile, SwitchBot took a more pragmatic approach. The Onero H1 doesn't walk like a human. It rolls, but compensates with advanced arms and a local perception system that works without the cloud. During the demonstrations, it picked up clothes, cleaned surfaces, and interacted with messy objects. It's less of a spectacle, you can tell, right? But it's more useful. The message from the guys is simple. If the goal is to help at home, stability matters much more than looking like a human. Conversely, NGI chose to embrace controversy. The T800 appeared at CES 2026 to counter skeptics who claimed their videos were computer-generated imagery or AI-generated. The robot showed torque control, balance during impacts, and strong movements, just like in its videos from China. Equipped with the $25,000 Jet Centauri, the T800 was marketed as an industrial platform, though it has a military look. NGI sees attracting attention as part of its adoption strategy, and it did that very well, didn't it? Finally, Fuller Robotics, another Chinese company, introduced the GR3, a humanoid for care and social interaction. With a softer appearance, tactile sensors all over its body, and a focus on environments of the GR3. It danced, played chess, and interacted with visitors. It was clearly not made to carry weight, but to deal with elderly people, rehabilitation patients, public spaces. These are all areas where this robot can operate, where simulated empathy can be just as important as physical strength. And, of course, before really closing the cycle, there were also companion humanoids. The guys weren't going to miss out on that market, which generates a lot of money. This year, Robotics introduced the male version along with the female models. Also the name David, which, according to the company representative, this and the other robots are a bit more autonomous. And what was said is that the AI takes the information it sees, what it observes, and makes its decisions based on that. So, basically, before using the AI, he is trained in a certain number of human behaviors to be able to interpret and see. Both the male and female versions can recognize human emotions, according to Robotics. There was also this version, a bit strange to say the least, that appears on your screen. Now, there it is. And it follows you with its eyes and is able to speak and even recognize you when it sees you again. The company says its robots will read, see colors, and better recognize emotions. And one of the things that Robotics boasts is that you can customize your robot's appearance, voice, and personality. When you look at all these robots that I've presented here together, something becomes clear. They don't compete with each other. They fill various roles in human life. Factories, homes, hospitals, services, care, strength, and precision. Consumer Electronics Show 2026 didn't predict a robot-dominated future, but one where we coexist with them, at least for now and for a long time, at least up until now. Discussing solar energy usually brought to mind the same image. Rigid panels on the roof, an inverter on the wall, and hoping the sun would cooperate. Consumer Electronics Show 2026 showed this model is now too small. The new generation of solar technologies doesn't just want to capture light, it wants to move, adapt, and hide within the architecture, operating in homes, recycling itself, and surviving in space. What was seen at the fair is a silent yet profound change. Solar energy has stopped being a passive installation and has now started behaving like a living system. A clear example came from Jack Carey, whose company introduced a living solar energy ecosystem instead of just batteries and portable panels. The SolarWinds MarsBot, a wheeled robot with retractable panels, moves itself during the day. Using computer vision and light sensors, it continually seeks the optimal solar angle, reducing typical alignment losses. Next to it, Gazebo's Solar showed how this logic can be applied to fixed structures. The Gazebo's solar louver roof generates up to 10 kW daily and adjusts to the sun. The message from the guys is simple yet important. If the sun moves, the solar system should move too. This notion of built-in intelligence also appeared in Blue Device's smart solar windows. One of the major obstacles of smart glass has always been electrical complexity. The solution presented at Consumer Electronics Show completely eliminates this. The windows use liquid nanoparticles to generate energy and adjust tint wirelessly, powered by sunlight and artificial light. Each window works as a small independent power plant, thus reducing the building's energy consumption and turning entire facades into infrastructure. Some companies add solar to glass, while others put it on fabric. Be-Light Innovations presented one of the boldest ideas at the fair: rollable solar panels as thin as a regular curtain. At just over 1/10 of a millimeter thick, this material fits in compact tubes and unrolls like a regular blind. Despite its delicate appearance, it achieves an efficiency of over 18 and works very well even in low light. Here, solar stops looking like industrial equipment and starts behaving more like a design material, which can be integrated into interiors, Internet of Things, and portable devices. Dracula Technologies made the shift to indoor environments even more apparent. Instead of panels facing the sun, the company is betting on capturing energy from the room's own lighting. The Layer 520 system uses organic photovoltaics optimized for low light, capable of powering sensors, smart locks, and devices with artificial intelligence, using only office or home light. If this happens on a large scale, solar energy will no longer rely on the skies and will work anywhere there's light. But Consumer Electronics Show 2026 also showed that solar doesn't want to stand still or stay off the streets. Solarix, connected to the former Hyundai system, presented a solar module. Anywhere in the world. Instead of rigid panels, the hood itself, the roof, the trunk, all of these start to capture energy without affecting the aerodynamics. The gain can reach up to 24 kilometers of range per day just by using passive collection. It's not enough to replace recharging yet, but it changes the logic. The car not only uses energy, but also generates some while parked or moving. While some companies are at the beginning of the solar technology's lifespan, others are already looking at its end. Solarborn caught attention by presenting a mobile solar recycling system mounted on a truck. Recycling now occurs directly at the plant instead of transporting old panels long distances. The system separates glass, aluminum, and other materials with a high reuse rate, reducing costs and emissions. Yes, it's not a glamorous detail, but it's essential. Without efficient recycling, clean energy only delays the problem. And maybe the innovation, which is even further away, literally, came from lens technology. The company launched ultra-thin, aerospace-grade glass for satellite solar panels, only a few dozen micrometers thick. It can be rolled up for rockets and unrolled in orbit. Unlike flexible polymers, this glass resists radiation and atomic oxygen in space, greatly extending satellite lifespan. And here it seems that solar energy goes beyond Earth and becomes a key part of future space infrastructure and communication. At CES 2026, the most important innovations weren't always the biggest, the flashiest, or the ones that promised to change the future. Many of them did something more unsettling. They solved old problems in such obvious ways that it makes us wonder why it had never been done before. Amid humanoid robots, artificial intelligences, and supercomputers, some of the most talked about technologies were actually the ones that seemed a bit strange. One that's so small, it's almost silly. Until you realize what they do, these ideas can seem almost childish. A lollipop, yes, a lollipop. The Lollipop Star by Lavatech Brands looks disposable, but biting it brings a surprise. The music isn't played through a speaker, it appears in your head. The lollipop uses bone conduction to send vibrations through your jaw to your inner ear. The result is an amazing sound quality, but it's a sensory experience that's disconcerting. People who tried it described a slight tingling sensation, and then the music just appears as if it comes from nowhere. It's strange, but it's memorable and reveals something bigger. The audio works without headphones, speakers, screens, just physical contact. Another seemingly humorous yet real product came from Roborock. For years, robot vacuums have addressed only half the issue for multi-story homes. Stairs were always an insurmountable barrier until now. The Roborock Xerox rover uses articulated legs and moves like a mechanical frog, cleaning each surface step by step before advancing. It's slow, but it addresses a problem millions of homes thought was impossible. For the first time, a household robot understands that the house isn't flat and enters an entire market that simply didn't exist before. In the kitchen, another innovation caught attention, not because of its looks, but because of its physics. The ultrasonic knife C200 looks like an ordinary knife. When off, its blade vibrates over 40,000 times per second due to built-in piezoelectric crystals. You get less friction, more precise cuts, and need only half the effort. This isn't a television gimmick, it's real engineering applied to everyday life. For seniors with arthritis or weight loss, this isn't a luxury or something frivolous. It's autonomy. Honor pushed tech hype further, creating something resembling low-budget science fiction. Until they made a smartphone with a built-in robotic arm, the camera extends, rotates, stabilizes, and follows the user automatically. It's not an external accessory, it's built into the smartphone. With tracking AI, a 3-axis gimbal, and multiple lenses, the device records videos, streams live, and takes selfies automatically. No tripod, no operation, no human touch. Yeah, it's weird to see the phone move on its own. But after a few minutes, according to people who tested it, it's hard to imagine going back to the old way. While some devices stood out for excessive movement, another drew attention by not making contact. The DOM Vital Belt uses millimeter wave sensors to measure breathing, pulse, and body movements through clothing, without skin contact or using wrists or fingers. Monitoring occurs on the abdomen, where physiological signals are stronger, allowing for subtler readings of stress, posture, and breathing. This technology doesn't require you to change your habits. It just fits with what you already wear. That's right, my friends. In the end, these innovations have something in common. None of them seem revolutionary on their own, but they all challenge invisible limits that we've learned to accept. Consumer Electronics Show 2026 showed the future arrives by addressing small frustrations, not with big impacts. Until, when we realize it, the world already works in a completely different way than we were used to. And maybe, just maybe, the most impressive thing isn't what these technologies do for all of us, but how quickly they start to feel normal. And they point to a profound change. The silent transformation of human experience into a continuous stream of data that is completely trackable, right? If you enjoyed this special episode, you know what to do. Leave your opinion here in the comments. That way, YouTube shares the video with more people and you help me keep bringing you the latest tech news. Just a reminder that all the sources, actually, there's only one source, which is Consumer Electronics Show 2026, are listed here in the description. Thanks for staying with me. Click one of the options on your screen. See you next time. Thanks for everything. Bye.